European Commission spokesperson Stefan De Keersmaecker on Thursday stressed that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was legitimately elected in free, fair and democratic elections, as he responded to comments made by U.S. President Donald Trump. According to Associated Press, Trump used an extended social media post on his Truth Social platform to lash out at Zelensky and call the Ukrainian a dictator without elections. He warned Zelensky that he better move fast to negotiate an end to Russia's invasion of Ukraine or risk not having a nation to lead. President Zelensky was legitimately elected in free, fair and democratic elections. Ukraine is a democracy, De Keersmaecker said in response to the comments. The rhetoric from Trump toward Ukraine comes amid an escalating back and forth between the two presidents and rising tensions between Washington and much of Europe over Trump's approach to settling the biggest conflict on the continent since World War II. On Tuesday, top U.S. and Russian officials had their most extensive high-level engagement since Moscow sent troops into Ukraine almost 3 years ago, meeting for 4 hours. Those talks sidelined the U.S.'s European allies and Ukraine, who were not involved. There can be no solution for Ukraine without the involvement of Ukraine, nor without the involvement of the European Union, De Keersmaecker said. Ukraine's security is the European Union's security.
Thank you for the floor. Vitaly Sizov, UATV. On yesterday's statements of Donald Trump, he
contributed much more financially to Ukraine than the European Union has. Can you?
President Zelensky was legitimately elected in free, fair and democratic elections. Ukraine is a democracy. Putin's Russia is not. When it comes to information that the American authorities use, of course, there is nothing I cannot share any light on that. This is something that you would have to ask them.
Information with Trump, from your point of view, why his position is so different.
There can be no solution for Ukraine without the involvement of Ukraine, nor without the involvement of the European Union. Ukraine's security is the European Union's security. So I think our line here is remains steadfast, as I would say. Do you have any other questions on this? No. Do we have any other questions on...
U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Roger Wicker stated bluntly that Putin cannot be trusted. Putin is a war criminal who belongs in prison, the Republican told CNN. Asked whether Putin wants peace, Wicker said the Kremlin will do anything to benefit itself. On the contrary, Putin has violated all existing norms of international law and his place is in prison, and it would be even better if he were executed, the senator added. Wicker also disagrees with Pete Hegseth's statement that Ukraine has no place in NATO. He considers this statement by the Pentagon chief to be erroneous, although he maintains normal business relations with Hegseth. The Republican also advocates for Ukraine to participate in negotiations with Russia and the US. Wicker does not yet understand why Washington has not yet invited the EU and Ukraine to negotiations, but admits that Trump may have some kind of plan. I think the best way to avoid a European war that would ultimately force us to intervene is to ensure that the rule of law that has been in place in Europe for 70 years is respected and protected. That's why we have NATO. That's why we have the European Union, Wicker said. On if he's concerned that Ukraine and Europe are not at the table yet in Russia-US talks, Wicker said, I don't know what the scheme is. There may very well be a method to all this, but said that ultimately Ukraine needs to be at the table to get a fair result. There are good guys and bad guys in this war, and the Russians are the bad guys, Wicker said. They invaded, contrary to almost every international law, and they should be defeated. And Ukraine is entitled to the promises that the world made to it. Wicker has been one of the Senate's chief advocates for Ukraine aid and pressed the Biden administration in its final days for a surge in US weapons for Kiev's forces. He wanted President Joe Biden to pull out the stops and lift restrictions preventing Ukraine from using donated weapons to strike inside Russian territory, and accused the former president of slow-walking deliveries. Ukrainian forces recently destroyed a rare Russian S-350 air defense system, marking at least the third confirmed loss of this costly weapon and raising questions about Russia's air defense capabilities and strategy. Defense Express reported the information. A video surfaced on social media showing the 15th Chorny Lys Artillery Reconnaissance Brigade striking a rare Russian S-350 air defense system. The footage suggests the event took place in the summer or early autumn of last year, as indicated by the greenery in the background. The attack was initially perceived as the first documented destruction of a Russian S-350, valued at approximately $135 million. However, it was not the first confirmed loss of this system. In December 2023, Ukraine's National Guard forces eliminated an S-350 launcher using an FPV drone, and in February 2024, another was lost when it detonated a mine, reportedly the first such incident globally. Thus, the recent footage marks at least the third confirmed S-350 loss in the ongoing war. According to the Military Balance 2024, the Russian military possessed only 6 S-350 launchers at the beginning of the previous year. Given its rarity, deploying such an advanced system near the front lines is notable. Previously, Russia positioned an S-350 to defend an airfield in Taganrog in 2022 and later used one to protect Vladimir Putin during the 2023 St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. This makes its presence in active combat zones even more surprising. One possible explanation is a shortage of air defense systems. However, a more complex scenario could be at play. Russia appears to have established a layered missile defense network in frontline areas to counter Ukrainian aviation and long-range drones. Nevertheless, the effectiveness of this strategy remains inconsistent. For reference, the S-350 is capable of simultaneously engaging up to 8 targets. Its range extends to 60 kilometers for aerodynamic threats and 30 kilometers for ballistic missiles. A full division consists of 12 launchers, each capable of carrying 12 surface-to-air missiles. The S-350 was created to replace older S-300PT-PS anti-aircraft systems. It is intended to combat advanced standoff weapons threats such as cruise missiles, manned aircraft, medium and heavy unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as tactical ballistic missiles. Initially, the S-350 was also supposed to supersede the Buk combat air defense system, but the new weapon's failure to meet certain force standards means it will ultimately only be deployed at local air defense bases to protect Russia's most important state, administrative, industrial, and military facilities. The newest addition to Russia's air defense inventory is capable of following and engaging targets in a full 360-degree area, not just by sectors as the S-300. Moreover, it boasts a significant increase in the number of missiles and target handling channels.